Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It is the Everton Club Call. Your opportunity to get on the line, to give us a call and have a chat about anything you want to have a chat about, whether it be Everton's 3 wins in a row, whether it be fictitious reports in certain newspapers that you should not click on, whether it be whatever it is. I'll be honest, whatever it is, you can get on and have a chat. If you're not happy with, I don't know, what would you not be happy with? Let us know. If you're not happy with something, I want to know what it is. Even if it's the most trivial of things. Like you're not happy with the angles of the drone shots of the new ground, or the colour of the seats, or the little green pitch in the middle of the pitch at the new Everton Stadium. Or, I mean, quite interestingly, if you want to have a chat about the new stadium, I'd be interested to know about that, because a tweet went out yesterday and it was saying that someone had been invited to a season ticket event, or talking about the season ticket for the new ground, and we're told that Everton will be getting the keys for the new stadium, like they should give you the keys, on Christmas Eve next year. And the plan is to not move in till the following season, which we've known about for a while, but that was repeated again yesterday, according to a focus group. So if you want to call and tell us why you love that idea, or you think that idea is nonsense, I think it's nonsense personally. But if you want to come on and convince me otherwise, why it's the perfect thing to happen, by all means do that as well. I'm up for that conversation, massively up for. Ned could have told me I was on that camera. I'm so into that camera, but Ned could have told me. He just changed me there mid-flight.
Don't worry about that. I'm just gonna.
Okay. What shouldn't I be worried about?
Nothing.
Okay, shouldn't be worried about. We are taking your calls. It is only me and Ned here. Baz has gone to a pantomime. He's not sick. He's gone to a pantomime.
Oh no, he hasn't.
He has. Why would you say he hasn't?
Oh no, he hasn't.
Why are you talking like that?
I'm not.
Why are you doing Superman arms?
Oh no, I'm not.
What's going on? Yeah, there you go. So get in touch. I thought you said there's people in the court already online.
I'm just trying to figure out who's who.
Okay. Give us if you're in the green room, make sure leave your name. Leave your name so Ned knows who it is. He's got to do that thing where he runs over again.
Which I'm gonna do right now
to get you on. So
I'm just gonna.
The stadium thing, I'm really interested by the way. I'd love to know what people think about the stadium situation, about moving in, and do they think that will continue to happen? See, you're gonna put it on the big. Why have you put it on me when you know you've got to go across me?
I just realised that.
Jesus Christ. He's absolutely.
I'm not trying to avoid it.
You can't. You're trapped. You're trapped. That's just the way it is. No, because I'm really interested in the stadium thing. I actually think it's batshit crazy that Everton would move in 8 months. Well, not move in 8 months, but would play their first game 8 months after the stadium is built. I think that's mad. And I honestly don't know if people who came into the club, new owners, would keep that up, because we are obviously short of cash. We need money. And I just think anyone would look at it and go, how can you have a brand new stadium and not open it? Let us know. I just don't see how a business that is struggling for money can afford to have two stadiums and not be moving into it. But I want you to come on. I want you to come on and tell me why that is. There you go. Ned, I can hear someone in my ears. Who is it?
Yeah, I'm trying to find out who it is.
I can hear typing. I can hear chairs. John Blaine says. John Blaine's in the comments. He's in Florida. He's in Orlando, Florida right now, sunning it up. Good for him. Worked hard. I'm flabbergasted that a business with financial challenges that resulted in a -10 points would delay a significant uplift income. Hands emoji. John, we're on the same page. We're on the same page. But if someone wants to come on and tell me why it's a good idea, And not just like, oh, it's Goodison Park. Oh, we've got to stay. We've got to have a last game and all that. If someone can come on and tell me, business-wise, why it's a sensible idea to stay at Goodison Park when there's a ground that will have extra money. Don't forget, like, we're paying for that. We're paying for that stadium straight away. We're paying for it. We're paying for it now, aren't we? So, we're paying for it. We're paying for it now, and we need to get income into it. Tickets, merchandise, all the rest of it. Let me know. Ned, someone's in my ears. Who is it? I want to go. Let's get them on. Someone's talking. I want to get them on. Let's just get them on. Come on. This is a fluid situation, Ned. People are watching. Get Glenn on. Go on, get Glenn on. Still waiting. Hello, Glenn. Glenn, hello.
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 Pedro McPartland, how are you doing?
Whoa, hang on. Ned, I'm getting reverb here.
Yeah, that's coming.
Testing 1, 2.
Right, that's better. Go on, Glenn.
Yes. There you go. How you doing? You're with John the business plane, right?
John, the business plane, is in Florida.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't see you. Who's
No.
today?
It's me and Ned.
Ah, there you go.
It's
there
Ned.
You go.
Yeah, Ned's here for all your needs.
Fantastic. How are you guys doing? All
Yeah,
right,
well,
finish your Christmas shopping?
No.
Started your Christmas shopping?
Yeah, started it in September.
Oh, that's very well prepared.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, still a bit to do, but that's what the internet's for.
Yeah, exactly. There's still time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's Ned? Is he?
He's here. He's sitting here. He's sitting here. I mean,
surprisingly quiet for Ned.
Well, he's waiting for your question.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, right. I'll go straight into it because there's lots of people waiting. So I'll go straight into it. I was watching the 1878 podcast, really good, even though Ned wasn't on, particularly like the boxing question. But the question from about the good teams versus poor teams from Dave, about how we're traditionally better at counter-attacking the good teams. He's worried about us playing the lower teams just because we can't really break down those sort of teams. Is that still what you think of Everton, or do you think we've moved on in the last few weeks?
It's not a massive sample size, is it? But what I would say is Burnley will have a lot of the ball on Saturday. They keep the ball really well. They've been struggling putting the ball in the back of the net, but they have a lot of possession. And I actually think away from home, this will suit us as much as playing anybody, because it's a case of just keep doing what you're doing, and it'll hopefully end up in the same result. So I'm not, just because it's Burnley and just because they haven't had a great start to the season, I'm not thinking about it like that. They have lots of the ball. And they have been playing well. They just haven't got, as I said, they haven't got that centre forward. It all came together for them the last home game when they played Sheffield United, obviously, and Sheffield United, the man sent off. But it's a case of just keep doing what we're doing, be good defensively, and then try and catch them at the other end. So it would be a bit different if it was if it was a Sheffield United or someone who doesn't use the ball as well. But I do think Burnley use the ball well. So just keep doing what we're doing. I don't know whether we've massively improved. I think we've just grown, and because we don't have a lot of the ball, typically the last few games have actually suited us.
Oh, definitely. And the confidence has got to be sky high at the moment, right?
Yeah, you'd imagine so, wouldn't you? I mean, and I don't think it's because we're not like, the reason I think it's interesting is because we've not done anything like different in terms of, we're not like scoring worldies that are changing the trajectory of games. We're scoring goals based on the way we're playing, which is winning the ball on the edge of our box, breaking, and then getting into the final third, or getting into the final third quickly and creating chances that way. I don't think the teams we've played have meant we've had to do something different. I think we've been quite consistent, and I think when you do something consistently and you get good at it, you are going to be confident that it'll work every time. Hopefully, it'll work near enough every time. So they should be quite confident going into Saturday's game.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I've got another question.
Go on.
Which I was going to say for a Tuesday topic, but I'm here now.
Okay.
So obviously we've been deducted 10 points. We all know that. But imagine you were going into a negotiation room and you had to negotiate a number of points off to something that was more palatable. Obviously, the ideal scenario would be all 10 points given back.
Yeah.
But what would be your kind of break-even point? I'm guessing if they offered you 1 point back, you'd, shove it back in their faces. What do you think's realistic about if we get any points back? How many points do you think? Or what would you feel more comfortable with rather than minus 10 points?
Okay. Going off the fact, and the problem with this good question, but the only problem with it is, and this is actually what Everton should be, is one of the reasons why Everton should be or are going after them is, what is the scale? There's no scale. The scale for the Premier League was 6 points plus a point for every 5 million you go over. But the commission, independent commission, I say independent loosely, they said they declined that and they were doing their own thing, but then didn't explain how we got to 10 points. So I think what I would be comfortable with, or certainly if we were going to go after them, is I'd say, right, if 6 points is for breaking the rule, then the most we should be getting is 6 points. The 1 million plus for 1 point for every 5 million is a nonsense. And the reason I believe it's a nonsense is because they are arguable points. Though for every 5 million, our defence was, there was a reason, whether it be player X, we didn't suit player X, or because the transfer fees weren't as high because of COVID, or because of the stadium. Those things are arguable. It's just that on one day, these people said, no, we don't have that. On another day, someone would. I think the thing what you would say isn't arguable, even though I would still argue it, is that we broke the rules, and that is 6 points. So that's how. So I would say we at least should be dropped to at least 6 points, and then I'd probably say, and I think 3 should be suspended because it's our first offence, Gov, and So I think, honestly, I think it should be reduced to 6. Absolutely, should be reduced to 6, and then we can argue the situation of like suspended points and stuff like that. But those extra 4 points are nonsense. They are absolute nonsense if you look from the Premier League point of view. The problem is we're not looking from the Premier League point of view because the Independent Commission said that they didn't use their metric. So how did you come up with those 10 points? But if we're using the Premier League metric, it should definitely be dropped to 6 because all those that, and it didn't even add up to 20 million, by the way. So it shouldn't be a point for every 5 million because it's a point. It should only be 3 points then. But I would go 100%. It should be dropped to 6, and then let's work on the rest. Ned, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, we spoke about this on Around the Town not so long ago, and I was saying I still, because of the whole claims was just rubbish what we've been found guilty for. Like this, the idea that we've cheating's led to a sporting advantage. I think that any point is a joke anyway. And if
I do.
It should be a sporting sanction, like a transfer ban. So I probably won't be happy unless we get all of them back. No, realistically, yeah. I don't think that's going to happen.
No,
and also realistically, I think we'll say it without the 10 points. But if we get 4 points back, then you can look back and go, well, they haven't just plucked 10 points out their ass because the 10 points is just it's just a nonsense.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree with that. I think we should fight for every single point. I'm just looking from a point of view of like, I wouldn't be happy if they said 6 points, but I certainly wouldn't be happy. But if Everton can argue that down at least to 6 points, then I'd feel a little bit better. But it's a sporting sanction for a non-sporting crime, and I think for me, there shouldn't be any points. And I'll argue all day with people who think it should be points because those people haven't got the facts. So hopefully, you never know. You never know. I don't know whether it's possible, but if they could get it down to 0 and have other things, that would be absolutely amazing because then we could go, oh my God, we've got a chance of getting Europe this year. But honestly, I'd be I'd be very, very angry if we didn't get it down to 6 at least. Very angry, Glenn.
And when you say suspended, do you mean
Yeah.
as in take 3 this season and 3 in another season? Just
No.
because obviously this season there's 3 teams that probably are going to go down, right? And it'd be better to take all 6, or sorry, do you mean something different than that?
No, I mean, if you do it again. So basically, the way they look at it in, like, say, the EFL is, a lot of the time, clubs will obviously be done quite quicker than we have, and then they'll go to appeal, and in the appeal it'll be halved genuinely, or sometimes in the first time out it'll be halved. So basically, this is your first offence. Don't do it again. Because ultimately you got to look at it another way as well, and this is something we spoke about loads of times. You are punishing a football club in such a dramatic way that it could end up going into administration, and people will be sacked, and people will lose their jobs. Things like the charity would be hit. And this is what we've seen in the EFL of, like, I referred to it last week as, like, the way the bank charges used to get handed out. It was like, you used to get a bank charge for going overdrawn, and it was like £30. And it's like, how does that help me? Really? Like, I'm skinned, and you're punishing me by giving me a bank charge, and then I'll get another bank charge because you've given me a bank charge because I can't afford to get myself out of my overdraft or whatever it used to. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're punishing people again and again and again. It's even with the rolling thing where it's like, we could be punished again. It's like, how can we be punished again when 2 of the years are the same 2 of the 3 years on this one? Like, you're being punished again for the same crime. And if they keep on doing that, and they've done this in the EFL to people where they're saying they're reoffending, and they're not. What they're doing is, you're not allowing them to get out of the hole that they've been put in. And that's why I don't get these points decisions. I don't get how it helps a football club. I understand punishment. I understand that you've got to punish someone. Punish the owner, then fine him. Take the club off him. Say he's got to sell, like they did with Abramovich. Why, you could say it to Abramovich. Why can't you say it to anyone else? I know those circumstances were extraordinary, but if a government can turn around and say, you've got to sell that football club, I think there should be something in every, personally, in every single contract that, I don't know, when an owner buys a club, is that if you go into these certain things, you've got to sell this football club. Punish the owner, punish the club financially, but don't punish them on the pitch, because the pitch is the only place you can make a difference. It's the only place where you can get those points back. Points mean prizes or pounds, don't they? If you punish a club and they go down to another division, they're going to get lower attendances. So you're punishing the club once again. You are stacking stuff on top of them again and again and again. And this is all because they said, we don't want clubs to go bust. It's madness. The rules are madness, and shame on us if we signed up for these, by the way. Shame on every club who signed up for them, because they are utter nonsense. And what we saw, this has been rectified yesterday, is clubs like Chelsea were finding the loopholes. We'll just give 8-year contracts. Now, I know that can't be done anymore, but they certainly got a lot of people on 8-year contracts to sort that PSR out. So there was clearly loopholes in it, and that's been allowed to go along. And I just think a points thing is utter nonsense. Felt it from the start. And I feel like that for every club. You should only get a points deduction if you've done something on the pitch. So you've played an ineligible player, or you've cheated in a game, or whatever it is. But whatever happens on the pitch, punish them on the pitch. Whatever happens off the pitch, then you deal with that afterwards. So like if Man City get 115 charges, fine them hundreds of millions of pounds then. Like when we see I don't know, these huge companies getting fined for breaking rules, whether it be, I don't know, dumping sewage into water or whatever it is, financial institutions, they're getting punished hundreds of millions of pounds, because that's the only way to punish those companies. And I think football clubs should be put in the same thing now. Punish them financially, but huge, not like 6 million here and whatever. Huge fines, I think, personally. That'll hurt them. But at least the team on the pitch hopefully might be able to get that back.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. Right. There are 3 other people waiting, so I'm going to say goodbye. But just before I do, want to ask.
Go on.
Is there going to be a Toffee TV Christmas special? Yes or no?
Yes. There is going to be a Christmas special. It'll just be Ned talking for an hour, because that is all the Christmas special you need, I think. No.
Sounds wonderful for me. If he could talk mainly about his cooking skills we've learned about recently, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers, Glenn.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. There you go. That was Glenn. I seen this. Ponty Pryd, the Welsh team, haven't they been docked 135 points or something?
What?
Yeah, apparently so. So, something like that. Right, Ned's going to get the next caller on. John Plain says, "Hey, Ped, the punishment isn't an issue if you don't breach the rules." Yeah, I agree, John. Our club have been a mess. We all know this. Our club have been a mess for years. We've been telling you that here. You all know it. So, punish the people who made those mistakes. Oh, no, most of them aren't at the club anymore, are they? And one is desperately trying to get out. Punish him. Tell him he can't have any money. Tell him he's got to sell a club and he can't have any of the money. And that goes into the EFL Christmas Fund or something. There you go. GDI says, good evening. What a great few weeks of results-wise it's been. I was working away and went to the pub for the Newcastle game, full of Geordies and just me, shirt, louder than them all. Oh, God, you're a brave man. Right, who we got on the line now?
Pat.
Hello, Pat.
Hey, how you doing, Pat? How you doing, Ned?
Oh, man, you sound tired. What's going on?
Oh, I'm okay.
Okay.
I just sound that way.
You sounded a bit like, oh, here we go. Oh, it's a good week, man. Come on.
Oh, it's a great week. About the stadium, it boggles the mind that people cannot understand that we cannot build on Goodison's footprint. There's nowhere else to build. So, like, the idea that we were ever going to do what the RS did across the park and build Anfield up. Yeah. We can't do that. We don't have the footprint to make Goodison bigger. And I would understand, because there's examples like Anfield, like Wrigley Field, like Fenway, where they've done a great job in updating the park and have probably gotten more out of it. And I think if Everton Football Club had its choice, they would have updated Goodison. But we can't. We just can't. There's no space there.
No.
How many houses and businesses would they have to buy out and knock down, and especially and it's too late for that anyways. We're already building the stadium. Yeah. Like you were saying on the Tuesday topic yesterday, it's like buying what Kane was saying. It's like having two houses, keep paying the mortgage on the old one, and don't sell it, and then just have an empty property sitting there that you dither over for a year. Yeah. Why?
No, it's a strange situation, mate. And again, I don't know whether there's anyone at Everton Football Club who can really make that decision. I don't know, because the leadership team, it's gone black. What's going on? The leadership team is, I don't think can make those decisions. I really don't. So if they can't make those decisions, I don't think they should be making any decisions. I certainly don't think they should be telling people that it looks like we're going to be leaving at the end of next season. But because, for me, what has this happened? Have you seen this happen anywhere in American sports? Because obviously I always feel like it's a good place to start when it comes to stuff like this, Pat, because American sports, seems to me anyway, and you might be able to tell me different, are a lot more ruthless. They seem a lot more ruthless, and obviously teams can move from city to city. But have you ever seen this where a club has moved, or a team, has moved mid-season to a new stadium and they've just done it because that's just the way it is?
Let's think. Never mid-season that I can think of. The one time the Bears were making their new stadium was they went down to U of I, which is 5-6 hours downstate, and they played the whole season there. Yeah. In basically a cow field. And try to think who else has changed stadiums. No, when the Rams were making their new stadium, they were playing it in the Coliseum still the entire year. I don't think anyone out here would do that, but it's a different situation too. Is that most sports in America, because you sell nostalgia, history, tradition is a huge part of sports world over. Doesn't matter what sport, doesn't matter what country. And so the ideal is always to stay in your old stadium and update it, which, because you lose something, you do. But, and I think that's maybe where Evertonians are nervous about. They've heard from West Ham fans, they've heard from Tottenham fans who are missing White Hart Lane. They're missing, they're talking to Arsenal fans who are missing Highbury. There is a certain thing that might be lost, but we don't really have a choice. We're not in a situation where we could have updated Goodison, but we just chose not to. We don't. There's no option. There was no option.
No, there's no.
Right?
There's
and in the case where there's no option, we find something that is. I mean, you want to talk about something that's historical. From what I understand of Liverpool, the docks are an important part of the history of Liverpool. It's a sort of an economically depressed area that is being rejuvenated. It's on the River Mersey, so you can even do what they do at in San Francisco, where they have kayaks or boats outside, whatever, waiting for
catch a ball
to kick. Well, right, for when Ghana kicks one into the Mersey. Those things, and it can be done well. You can do it well and still maintain the traditions of the club. And I think that's something that's important, is that you can go to a new stadium and still maintain the traditions of the club. People in San Francisco were very sad when they left Candlestick Park. Yeah. But their new park is right on the bay, right on the water. It's a beautiful park. It's great to go to, and people still love it. And it still holds tradition of Willie Mays and all the great giants of yesteryear. Yeah. So you can absolutely do it with a new stadium. My choice personally would be if they could have updated Goodison, but we know that. I've said that before. We couldn't. So that's a situation. And I think people need to have that context of that, is that in America, we also probably have more room just for the size, the physical size of the country to go out into suburbs and make new stadiums. So, I think it's good. I think it's also it looks like a lovely location. So I don't think we're going to be losing that much.
No, of course, people. I understand people. They want to complete the season. They want to be able to say goodbye to Goodison and have a real, because we've obviously all got a real affinity with it, and it's so special for all of us, and that's all we've known all our lives. But I think, unfortunately, we've had this taken away from us because of the decisions of people who've been running the club. They've taken this away from us. Like, if certain people, the people before these people, hadn't dragged their feet, the stadium would have been built by now. Would have been getting open this season. But we lost a year because a certain individual at the club dragged his feet and made a big mess of it, and they had to restart it again from scratch. And then the timings have just been off, sadly. I mean, I'm not blaming anyone for that, but obviously the timings of when we started the stadium meant it wasn't going to be completed by the time we all thought. And we all thought we were moving in the beginning of next season, and really that didn't get clarified till in the last, 6 months ago, really.
Weren't we initially promised this season, like initial outlines, or was that never the plan?
I think when it very first started, it should have been. But because we dragged our feet and literally just made a mess of it, Robert Elston just made a mess of it. We lost a year, and then we weren't promised, but it was sort of hinted at that we were going to go in it for the 2024-25 season, and unfortunately, that time has just slipped away. Only 3 months, 4 months. But I can't believe that 3 or 4 months is now going to mean that we're not going to move into it till the following season. And again, it isn't perfect, and I appreciate everyone like can't move mid-season. To me, that's just where we are. If you create a situation where a football club is desperate for money, then how can you sit there? How can anyone sit there and go, well, we'll wait? That to me is it's just not living in the real world. If Everton were to turn around and go, oh, don't worry, we've got this amazing financial plan where for 8 months the stadium's going to be used for this and it's going to be used for that, then part of me go, yeah, okay, but another part of me is like, but also though, I don't want anything happening in this stadium before we move in. I want everyone's first experience to be Everton playing a game, not a concert or some kind of event. I want it to be Everton playing a game. So, and I know there will be test events anyway, but to me, it just doesn't make it. It really is illogical that a club that is struggling for money, people are linking us with administration and all this nonsense, and yet we're gonna leave a stadium unoccupied in terms of sport for 8 months. That's just crazy to me.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
So there is a thing, because my family used to be season ticket holders of the Chicago Bears back in Old Soldier Field, and we used to be around a lot of working class people in our seats, and we knew them well, like you do, and the Gladys and everything.
Yeah.
And there is something we've lost in the new stadium, but you don't have to. You don't have to do that. Everton has been pretty good about not jacking up ticket prices at Goodison when they could, when clearly, even if it's only 39,000-40,000 people, they could have. I think as long as we don't price out the working class fan.
Yeah, we wouldn't have any fans if we did.
Well, that's true.
We wouldn't have any fans.
Well, I understand, but you can try to do that, right, and just get tourist fans or whatever. I know you guys have a different ticketing model, so you can't exactly just get 20,000 people on StubHub just come and get tickets and wherever they want. So that's a little different. But if they did open up more general admission, I think it would sap that. I think that maybe is where the fear is coming from, is that they'll hear what West Ham fans say in London Stadium, Arsenal fans say in the Emirates, what old City fans say at the Etihad, and what Tottenham fans say that they're missing White Hart Lane. I feel like there's a genuine fear, but I've always trusted this club to at least make a effort to be seen as Moyes dubbed us, the People's Club. And so I think there will be hospitality sections and corporates and seats and everything but as long as they don't raise the ticket prices to price out the working class fan and keep it like they have at Goodison relative to the rest of the league, the atmosphere will be just as good, and it'll be on the river, and I think it'll be it'll be beautiful.
Well, what did Emma Hayes say this week? Emma Hayes said, "Evolve or die." The Chelsea coach, soon to be the American women's soccer coach, said, "Evolve or die," and that's where Everton. That's what Everton are doing, simply because we have to move, and people have to get used to that, and people have to put their feelings, unfortunately, to one side, and how they feel about Goodison Park, because you're going to have to just. To me, it's a no-brainer. I'm that guy. I'm like, I see it. I want it. I want to move in now. I'm like that, you know what I mean? It's like that. You get a new job or you're going on holiday. You want to get done. You want to get finished. You want to get going. That's the way I am with the new stadium. I love Goodison Park. I love the emotion. The last 2 games have been amazing. It's not always like that, of course. But I was in the fan zone before the game because me wife was up on the stage talking about her game too. And it was just drab and dull. And you look at the new fan zone and holding 13,000 people and being able to hold events separate from Everton, maybe can hold little concerts and things like that. That's the kind of thing that this club has to evolve into. A club that can hold big concerts on the inside and smaller concerts on the outside and making money every way they can. But like you said, by not ripping people off, but by giving people the opportunity, having a bigger store where people can go in and buy all kinds of different stuff. My friend Eric was over last summer from the States, and he said he went to Tottenham's ground because his lad was playing games over there. He went to Tottenham's ground. He said the shop was just huge. And then you go to Everton's store, and it's this tiny, tiny store that has very little in it, few lines, because they're like, well, we haven't got enough room for stuff. You've got to give people the option. You mentioned there the corporate side of it, giving people the opportunity to go to restaurants or go to different kinds of seats, things, and you're not pricing them out, you're just giving them the opportunity. We can't do that at Goodison Park, and I think people are just going to have to put their feelings to a side. We're all excited, but I think some people are excited, but as it's getting closer, it's dawning on them. Oh, this could be the last time we play in a quarter-final of the Cup next week. All these things. Don't worry about it. It's still us going to the new ground. It's still the hardcore fans going to the new ground, which isn't a big soulless bowl, by the way, which looks steep, which looks intimidating, which looks like we're all on the pitch. It looks like it looks like a fantastic opportunity, and we've got to take it.
Yeah, so this is the one thing that I've heard from Americans coming over to English stadiums, but also at Goodison, in that I realize that if with retro jerseys in the shop, you probably can't, like, NEC doesn't make any sense anymore, having, Samsung or Hafina or, Chang. You can't, I get it, you can't do that. But why not just have, without the sponsor, some retro jerseys with some old names on it if they want it, or just numbers? Because I feel like, given that we are a rich historical club, you want to have some of them. If people want to have it with a just plain, that's fine. If people want to have it with some, some old jerseys, obviously it wouldn't make sense to have, Reed or, Psychopat's name on the back because they didn't wear names on the back at the time. But having an old 6 Jags jersey or Howard 24 or, I can't remember what number Lescott was, or, Rooney's old 10
5.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
There's loads of opportunities for new lines of merchandising. Retro stuff is, honest to God, the price of retro stuff is gone through the roof recently. And Everton should be... I know Adidas and Nike are going massively onto that. They're bringing back loads of retro stuff. So that's definitely something. There's loads of stuff we could do, Pat. Loads.
I legitimately would love to get like a 90s, like a Big Dunk or like Paul Rideout jersey, because I wasn't a fan at the time, but I want to appreciate that history. I want to have a piece of that. And I can't get that. I have to go to like a third-party site where I send it in the wash, and the NEC now has come off on my Jags jersey.
I mean, you can still get them. If you go to ScoreDraw is Everton's partner for retro gear. So if you go to scoredraw.com, you can get them on there.
Yeah.
So
one thing I'm mad about Classic UK Shirts gave me was I ordered a 29, like when the first season I started watching 0809, I wanted a Jags 6 jersey, and they sent me the 9091 instead of the 0809. So I have a Jags 6 jersey with NEC on there, and I'm going, oh, this looks so stupid, but I love it. It's like, it's my lucky jersey. I've been wearing it when we won the last time, but I'm like, oh, this looks like I'm an idiot American. Are you kidding me? Like, I wanted, and I got actually an 0809 jersey, but oh, whatever. Anyways,
excellent.
All right.
Nice one, Pat.
See you later.
Great chat. Thanks, mate.
All right.
Bye now.
Bye.
I've cut my nose. I don't know if I've done it. I've cut my nose. That's what it was. It was blood on my nose.
I got tissue, but
someone said it was chocolate. It wasn't. I haven't had any chocolate all day. It was blood on my nose. I've got like a little thing there. It keeps on reappearing. I think I might need to go to the doctors, to be honest. Just ask them what it is.
Get that solder. I'm just like...
Get the solder.
Just like how a lightsaber. If you cut yourself a lightsaber.
I let Ned loose with a soldering iron today, believe it or not.
I fixed a bad cable. I just accidentally...
No, listen, you did a good job. You've done a good job. I mean, you've been working hard to...
I'm good with my soldering. I used to love soldering in you.
Ned's good with the soldering. And anyone needs any soldering, doing.
But then I put the cable back together, tested it, and it was fine. And then went to take it off, and
it did.
Pulled it back.
The wires are rubbish on that. We paid a lot of money for them as well. We should send them back. But then they'll probably say, well, you've been soldering them. Yeah. There you go. I've had no chocolate, eh? I've had me porridge, and I've had me fuel, and that's about it. No sweets, no nothing. No, I wasn't picking my nose. I've got it, honestly. You can see the blood on my hands. Have we got anyone else? Was anyone else in there?
Yeah, I'm going to go grab them right now.
Posh Matty says, and he's just throwing this in, I went to Paul Rideout's son's birthday party at Southport Pleasure Beach. That's really, really interesting.
Pleasure Beach?
That's really interesting. I don't know if there is a Pleasure Beach in Southport, but there you go. I know there's one in Blackpool. Let's read out some comments. Gary Ward. Howdy, Gary Ward. Bainey says it would be ridiculous to have 2 grounds plus all the running costs and not move into the new one. More revenue, less costs. Doesn't make sense to stay at the old lady. Absolutely. Now, when we say they move into a new stadium, by the way, I do imagine if the stadium is ready to go this time next year, I imagine Everton will move quite a lot of people into that stadium who might have offices at Goodison Park. But what do they do on a match day? Does the new shop open at the new ground, even though the new ground's not getting used? Would there be enough? Would people go to the new ground if it had a big shop and buy stuff, even though the ground wasn't open and we weren't playing games at it? Do you know what I mean? Do all the restaurants open in it, even though we don't play games there? It's there's a lot of strange stuff that I don't quite get.
Just for
what?
commercial, look how much. Look at what Tottenham's new stadium done for
Put your
Tottenham.
mic by you. You're supposed to be them.
Look what Tottenham's new stadium done for Tottenham.
No, well,
And you need it for moving forward. And where we're in a city where Liverpool is the other team, I think having that stadium in the city centre and Liverpool don't.
it can't be a white elephant for 8 months, can it? It just can't. It can't be a white elephant for 8 months. It can't just sit there. It can't just sit there and do nothing for 8 months. It really can't. And I don't buy the excuse of test events. You can do test events. You can do 3 test events in about 3 weeks.
Liverpool's done test events.
Did you do a test event the other night? Got Jurgen Klopp on the pitch.
Doing that.
To do a Q&A.
Right, Eddie. We've got Eddie.
We've got Eddie.
On the call, by the way.
Eddie, you there?
Hello?
Hello,
Can you
Eddie.
guys hear me?
Yeah. Where you calling from, Eddie?
Texas.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Whoa.
Nice. I seen a trailer today called Civil War, and it's the Texans' fault in the film. So,
What is it? Okay. Civil War as in like the Mexican American
no,
War?
like the trailer just came out today for this movie called Civil War, which is basically about like in real time now America having a civil war, and it's Texas and California take on the rest of America and create a civil war. The trailer's amazing. You want to check it out? So it's all your fault. Just wanted to make sure you knew that. Just wanted to make sure you knew that.
All right, sure. I mean, I haven't. I'll have to look into that. Because
Yeah,
it's the first I've heard of it.
Yeah, just look into it and then have a good look at yourself and say, "Did I do this?" Go on, mate.
Okay. Okay. So my question here, was, well, the first thing I had to just point out, I don't feel Everton gets enough recognition, like on news outlets or like podcasts or like any sporting like punditry. Because like I was just after like this week we've just done really well, right?
Yeah.
And I've been looking around just to like hear what other people think outside of like our fan base, and I find it really difficult to find people talking about Everton.
Yeah.
Which is kind of disappointing. I thought, especially with how much we've been in the news, people would at least talk more about us in a better light.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
A little unjust. Just because you all, I think we deserve a little bit more credit. Like, well, especially Sean Dice deserves a lot of credit for what's happened.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely agree with you. It's normally people saying, well, Newcastle were tired, or what was wrong with Chelsea, rather than having Everton done amazing. There are a few. I've heard a few say it, like, proper football people talking about it, saying, they've done brilliantly, the points deduction and all this kind of thing. A lot of people are happy for us because we have managed to do, because a lot of people feel like it's unjust, so they will talk about it. But sadly, like, whether, I don't know, other YouTubers or people, independent podcasters, whatever, they'll go where the story is, and the story isn't really, whenever it's not Everton in a positive light, put it that way. It's normally Everton in a negative light, and what, all the bad things that are happening to Everton. So when there's a bit of positivity, you want it to flip the other way, but people just tend to ignore us. It's been like this for a long time, and the only way to, I suppose, is to start getting to a place where people are like Aston Villa, what Aston Villa are doing, or what Newcastle are doing. Because really, I know it's our club, and if you take away all the drama, I suppose it's a bit like, I don't know, if you looked at like Crystal Palace or someone like that. I mean, we're a much bigger club than that, but I imagine if you're a Crystal Palace fan, you probably don't turn on podcast and ever hear anyone really having too much to say about your club either. So we have to elevate ourselves as a football club, and maybe that's, again, when we're talking about the new ground, that'll be a really good starting place for that, to give a different perception of ourselves, because it has just been negativity for the last 2 years or so. Yeah,
I 100% agree. And there was something else I wanted to talk about here.
Go on.
Which was, so like the January transfer window is coming up, and after like this week with like injuries and yellow cards, I know we had a small squad, but now I realize how small it is.
Yeah.
Because, well, once Ghana leaves to go to the African Cup,
Yeah.
we'll be down to having Garner, Decore as like his split roles, but he can drop if he needs to.
Yeah.
Deli whenever he's fit.
Yeah.
And Gomez.
Yeah.
And I'm not very confident that can get us through the busy time at all.
Yeah.
And the question I have is, do you think we'll have money to spend in January?
No, is the answer. I think we're going to have to be. I mean, to be fair, the busy period really is the next 3 weeks. That's the real busy period. It actually, in January, it settles down somewhat because you've got 2 weekends for FA Cup ties or Thursday nights as we're playing. You've got a week off. There is a winter break where we get a week off, and then I think there's a league game as well. So, and obviously the AFCON goes into the first 2 weeks of February as well. I think we play. I think Ghana misses 4 games. So, but that's over. I think 4 weeks. So it's a case of hoping that the squad has got some kind of hasn't got players on yellow cards and is fit. So, but as talking about like bringing players in, I think we're going to have to be very creative. I think we're going to have to maybe look at the loans and maybe see if there's anyone we can bring in, or if there's a couple we could bring in, and maybe lose someone. So, but if an offer for Ben Godfrey came in, say, right, we can sacrifice him and we can bring a couple of loans in the short term, and then look again in the summer when the finances reset again and we know where we are in terms of everything. But I don't think there'll be actual money to spend because there really wasn't any money to spend in the summer. We were just very, very creative with the deals we've done. So when I say that, what I mean is obviously Ashley Young came in for nothing. There was a very, very small down payment for Shemiti. Dan Juma did actually cost us money, and he's the only person we put any money down for in the summer. And Beto didn't cost us any money in the summer. That is the first payment for Beto is next summer. So
yeah,
Dan Juma was the only person we paid for, and he's on loan. And look, and he doesn't even play. That's the irony of the whole situation. So Kevin Felwell had to be really creative, and that's why it was a very frustrating window, because he had to do deals that suited us. And we're going to have to do that again in January. But how do you convince someone to come in January? I don't know. There might be players out there who want to play in the Euros, say, or whatever it is. But they're going to have to force their way into the team very, very quickly. Now, for a midfielder, that might be easier if Ghana's away. There's an instant chance to get in there. And maybe if you could bring him in and maybe you let Andre Gomez go or something like that. I don't know. But I think we're going to have to be very creative. But the only thing I would say about that is there hasn't been rumours. There hasn't been too many rumours about anyone coming in. I know there hasn't been a lot of rumours about anyone signing anyone in January. It doesn't sound like it's going to be particularly busy. It's been really quiet so far. About the whole transfer thing's been really quiet. But I think we're going to have to be creative. And creativity normally means it's long term. You've been doing a deal over a long time to build relationships. There's not really hearing anything. So money, no. Loans, maybe. And if it's a couple that could boost the squad, then that would be really good.
Would you take Calvin Phillips on loan?
No, I wouldn't.
Go on, Ned.
I think at the moment, I think we've got a team, and I'm sure they'll agree, and I think if they can achieve what they set out to this season, and they think they can do that pretty comfortably without bringing players in, and there's not a certain need for, we need a centre back or we need a centre midfielder. I think if we can get by and do what we need to do without going and spending money or bringing someone in or getting someone who might end up just being like another Dan Juma who isn't, as fully involved as, because the good thing is about our team, it's not a huge squad, and we haven't got a huge amount of players that aren't buying into what Dyche's doing or aren't a part of it, where we've had in the past we've had players like Damari Gray, who's not really buying into it, isn't a part of it. We've seemed to have got a quite a small squad they've all got a job and they all play a part and they're all quite together in that. I think if you start adding to that with more players who don't play, it starts adding a bit of a bad atmosphere. But I think if we've got the team that we believe is good enough to get where we need to be this season, even without the 10 points that might not get back to us yet, then I don't think there's any need to go and try and spend money when we're under scrutiny. Even if it's loans and we bring players in, do we really need them, or are they going to end up more like a Ruben Vinagre situation where they're just in the team but they're not really part of it? They're in the squad but they're not part of the team. Or are we going to still give chances to players like Dobbin off the bench, who proved that he can have an impact? I don't think we should bring anyone in personally.
I was gonna ask. I feel Dobbin needs a loan. Like,
I think he does, but I don't think we can afford to give him one. That's the problem.
No, because like we brought in Danjuma on a loan, and I understand he might not fit Dyche's system. But Dobbin is showing so much promise, and in the under 21s, he's probably like one of our best players there. And I feel this will do more harm to him if we keep him on the bench and give him like these 10-minute cameos. Yeah, no,
I take your point, and I think that's where we were at the beginning of the season when we didn't have the players and players didn't sign till late, and then he missed the opportunity. I suppose it's up to him now to force his way into the side and get an opportunity. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I'm literally just looking at the fixtures here on my phone, and in the second half of the season, I think there's only 2 midweek games. There's January the 30th, where we play Fulham away, and then there's Newcastle in April the 3rd, when we play on a Wednesday. At the moment, it's probably getting moved to a Thursday, no one knows. But obviously, there's if we get past Palace, then the FA Cup, and if we get past Fulham in the League Cup, there's an opportunity to play in semi-final. So there's only going to be 2 games in the Premier League that are outside weekend games. So I think it'll settle down, and I think yes, the squad is small, but as Ned was saying there's a lot of players in there who are really in it together. You feel that, and we've just got to make sure that if we do bring anyone in, they're the right person. And Calvin Phillips would be an amazing player, but I just can't imagine a scenario he signs for Everton with the wages and everything. City'd have to pay all his wages. I don't know if anyone else is in for him, but
well, they have that, and if Pep believes there's a player in there, City has the money, and they don't really need him. So I don't think it would cost us anything. No.
Well, if he didn't, it'd be a good loan move. I mean, whether he'd get in the side again, that's the problem. He'd have to force his way into the side. I'm not saying our midfield's amazing, but you have to be quick and get in there. And the manager sort of quite likes the situation we've got at the moment. And I don't know. Sometimes it's mad, isn't it? Because sometimes we need a bigger squad, and then you look at the team and go, well, where would they actually get in? I'm not saying our team's amazing, because it's not, but it's like, well, where right now? Or where are the opportunities to rotate? Right now looks really busy and really hectic, but it can soon settle down very quickly, because just playing Saturday, or Sunday, whatever it is. So we'd all like extra players. We could do them right now. That's the real thing. But yeah, we'll wait and see. But if we could, I'll be honest, if we could get through January and we didn't bring any players in, and we got to the end of the season and everything was fine, then that would probably be the best scenario, really. That we didn't bring any more, that we didn't add extra, we didn't push the finances any further. I think at the moment we could do with just getting to the end of the season. Again, it's another season, you're ticking them away one by one. But if we could get to the end of the season and we haven't had to bring anyone in, and we finish off relatively fine in the league, I think that would be the ideal scenario.
Okay, yeah. And the last thing I want to touch on is, do you think there's a possibility, or you think it would be smart to see if we could get Jack Harrison on a permanent deal?
Yeah, we've been talking about this quite a lot in the studio. amongst ourselves about Jack Harrison, and I think it's differed quite a lot. I think sometimes it's game after game. I think ultimately it's the scenario, isn't it? The guy signed a new contract with Leeds in April, so he'll have 4 years left on a contract, I think, in April. So coming up to the summer, if Leeds get up, do they want to sell? He's a good player. He'll have been playing in the Premier League all season. Do they want him back? Well, if they do, then his cost suddenly goes up. If they stay in the Championship, then his price might be minimal because he won't want to go back.
Yeah.
Apparently, I say apparently, there is a rumour that there is a clause in his contract for around 15 million. Now, I say that I have no real idea. It's just something that's been mentioned a couple of times. If there's a clause in his contract for, say, 15 million, then yes, I think he balances the side really well. He gets goal contributions. He's not always amazing for 90 minutes, but I appreciate because he's a winger. They are in and out of games, but his goal contributions, I mean, suppose if you look at in the Moneyball situation, if you look at it from that point of view, he's probably the kind of player you want. He's always involved when we score goals, or typically always involved. So if you look at it from his worth, he'd be a great signing. But again, I just think the first factor is Leeds don't come up. I think we've got a great chance of keeping him. If he has got a clause in his contract, I think we've got a great chance of keeping him. But if he hasn't and Leeds come up, then we're going to be struggling because we've seen they like to play hardball, and they've certainly played hardball with Everton in the last. So that's made it's going to make it tough. The player could try and force his way out, but they've proved that it doesn't really work like that. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'd like him around. I like him around the squad. I think where we are right now, he fits us perfectly.
Yeah, I agree because what I've heard, I didn't know about the 15 million because the rumors I heard is Leeds would only sell him for anything. Well, they would sell 30 million and above, which is, I think that's a little steep for him.
Yeah.
He is a quality player, but
no, I wouldn't pay 30 for him.
I don't. Yeah, because if we were trying to spend 30 on Nato, who I don't think is as good of a player, as Harrison, I could see our front off or our Kevin Thelwell trying to do it, or our ownership trying to get the deal done, just because of how he performed this season. But I also don't think it's the smart thing to do.
Yeah,
but
we have to start doing the smart stuff, haven't we? That's what we need to start doing.
But I also just don't see any right wingers out there, which is hard to say because I mean I haven't been really looking, but I just don't see a lot of good right-sided players that would fit the system because there are players, but I just know that the way Dyche plays, they just wouldn't work because it's like a Dan Juma. There's a lot of good players like Dan Juma out there that we could probably get for the cheap, but would they fit in the system and would he even choose them? Yeah. Which is the more important thing.
Well, ultimately, we don't have to, as fans, come up with names or suggestions. Yeah. And I think, I'm sure the professionals at Everton can go out and find someone. Because let's be honest, Harrison, it's too early to say anyway, and the whole situation, Leeds are third currently. Whether they'll come up, which will make it more interesting, I don't know. But Harrison is a base level winger, and he's bang average for me, and he's good. And if there's a good deal there to sign him, then yeah. But I'm sure for 30 million, our scouts, which they're professionals, to find the players who will suit our team and find the best deal they can. I'm sure they can get someone better for 30 million. But like we've said, the situation will be interesting with whether Leeds come up or not and how much they want for him. But he's a good player.
Ultimately,
he suits us. But even if he was our best player, I'd still be looking to get better.
Ultimately,
that's the we should have.
If you're Everton scouts, it's your job right now to find someone who is like Jack Harrison, isn't it? That's your job right now, to scour Europe and find someone who is like Jack Harrison. on the off chance, or certainly on the 50-50 chance that he's not at Everton next season, find another Jack Harrison.
Find the next Jack
It
Harrison
can't be that hard, surely. It surely can't be that hard to find a winger with his profile somewhere around Europe or even somewhere in this country. They must be out there. So that's their job now.
I honestly think that this might also be biased because I'm American, but there's right midfielders here in the MLS that I don't know how they would transition over, but I feel MLS and even South America too, but I don't know, the US national team's getting a lot better, so
yeah,
I a lot of good players on the right side that are so.
And they work hard. We know the grafters. We know American players haven't had them ourselves, obviously, as we know the graft. And there's loads of markets out there. And of course, Jack Harrison came through America. You know, that's where probably a lot of that hard work was put into him, was playing through the American college system and then going to New York and playing in MLS with players. Don't forget, this is a guy who had 2 World Cup winners in his team when he was at New York. This is a guy who knew he had to elevate himself with that hard work, so he knows what grafting is, and the talent has come with it. So it's a case for him of keeping doing the same thing, and hopefully Everton will want him at the end of it. But if not, let's go and find the next one. Let's go and find the next one that fits the profile. Someone who works hard, that works hard for the team, and that's what Sean Dyche wants ultimately. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Nice one. Great call.
Have fun.
Cheers.
Bye.
See you later. Good call there. Yeah. I don't know if your Jack Harrison bang average comment there is going to go down well.
Why not?
Just don't think it will.
He's bang average.
That
doesn't mean he's bad.
Sounds like you're saying it's bad.
No, he's just He's just your average Premier League winger.
Is he your average Premier League winger though?
I think he'd be quite happy with a Premier League. If I was an average Premier League footballer, I wouldn't even be talking to you. I'd be like, I'm an average Premier League winger. Is
that what you'd be doing?
Yeah, I'd be like walking around going, I'm in the Premier League. I'm average.
I mean, that's very, very interesting.
You'd rather be that than than a bad winger, wouldn't you?
Very, very interesting.
He's not Mo Salah, is he?
No, but Mo Salah's one of the best players in the world.
There you go.
But that's not bang average, is it? There's a difference between bang average and one of the best players in the world. There is a difference between those two.
Harrison is a huge difference from Mo Salah because he's average.
Neil Starr says, gents, regarding the new stadium, the initial design included Everton lettering facing out into the Mersey. That's not technically correct, but Neil, but I'll continue. Has this since been discarded for the final design? If so, that would be a shame. Well, it was on the south stand, so it wasn't really facing the Mersey. And I asked about it because I didn't particularly like it. It was a placeholder, essentially. It was a placeholder for that on that glass. I would like to see like a big badge on the glass if you're going to put something there. I don't like that, or Everton in a different font. I don't particularly like that font they were using. It's a font Everton have used since the 80s, and I always think it was horrendous. So it was like a placeholder, essentially. And I think even Dan Mice said that it was a placeholder. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. Who we got now?
Here's Brian.
We've got Brian. Hello, Brian.
Evening, lads.
Hello, Brian.
Hi,
Go
Brian.
on, mate.
Another popular show. I like this show getting more popular.
Yeah, the more callers, the better, mate. Or from all around the world.
Indeed. Well, I was trying to pick up after watching the last couple of games that were upturning form, and then comparing that with the Chelsea performance, and then Man United last night, and then something you picked up on today. I would have the exactly same thought. You talk about United not having any backbone in the side, and I agree with that entirely. And you look at Chelsea; they were the same. There was nothing there. You look at Man City; they got a goalie, they got Rodri, they got Haaland. But then you look at us. And what have we got? We got Pickford, Branthwaite, Tarkowski, Onana, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Now that's what I call a bloody good backbone. There's a lot to build on there. So I think there's despite all the doom and gloom, there's genuine signs for optimism here.
Yeah.
It's just a case of which players we can keep, which players will be, as the transfer market develops next summer. But I really do think there's reason for a little bit of optimism.
Yeah.
And we should deal with this relegation fight, for it that way, this season without any problem.
No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
I don't think it's also.
Yeah, I thought
always...
United was so embarrassing last night.
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting that you compare Chelsea to United, because I think they're in a similar situation. Because you mentioned the quality players we've got, and it's not always about the individual players. Of course, you need quality, but if you look at United, and I think them having 0 draws just shows you exactly the team they are. I think they've got players that can get them through games. If the opposition team is not quite organised or quite got a lot of quality in the team, they've got players who, when they're on it, they can win those games individually and get them through those games. But when they come up against a team that's more organised, and it's why I was disheartened when we got beat 3-0 by them, because I really fancied us. When they come up against a team that's more organised, or just wants it more like a team like Bournemouth, they falter a bit. They conceded 3 at home 5 times this season, which shows that when they do get beat, their heads drop and they falter bits. And Chelsea is similar. They've had games where this individual players with quality, like players like Sterling, they come through and they win the games. But those games where they play a team that are just a bit more organised and a bit more assured of what they're doing and a bit more bought into what the style of football they're playing, they falter bits. So it's interesting that you compared those two teams, Brian.
Yeah, I think United have to start playing with draws. Maybe that'll help them. But the other thing I was thinking about also is about staggering about the weekend. We've had discussions about our manager and substitutions, and he ignores the obvious, like Harrison being absolutely knackered but staying on the pitch. Players who are having a really bad game but being left on the pitch and making substitutes with 2 minutes to go, and so you're thinking, what's the point? So we were really surprised, weren't we? Garner, who this season has already played on the yellow card and got by, he substituted at half time. Now, I also expected him to be taken off, but not about the 60th, 70th minute.
Yeah.
So that's really surprised us there.
Yeah.
So, but then why did he take off Calvert-Lewin so early? Because he had a fantastic game, I thought. He was superb. It was the way he held the ball up and laid it off, brought other players into the game. His target man play was really, really good. And as was said on the final word, we missed that when he went off.
Yeah.
We tried, it's like playing with Gary Lineker again, balls over the top for Beto to run onto. So what gets me is, and then of course he brings on young Dobbin. Now I wanted Dobbin on earlier.
Yeah.
I really did want him on earlier, but he didn't. He waited till near the end, which is, I thought, the one sub he should have made earlier. He didn't. Not that I know a lot of football.
He's damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't, isn't he? I'd like to think that. I mean, the Garner one, I thought was the correct thing, because it just didn't. I thought once
Agreed,
he was,
but I thought it'd be later.
Yeah, but I just thought that there was 2 reasons I thought it was the right move. Number one, with no one in midfield was tackling once Garner got booked, so they were getting through it quite easy. And the second reason was, knowing he was booked and he wasn't available for next week. What a great opportunity to give our Onana half a game, knowing that he's going to have to play 90 minutes next week, rather than him starting. I know he'd have another week training, but a great way to get him back into the team. He hasn't been in the side since the Palace game, but he obviously only played the first half. Get him back in the side, get him in a big game, get him back on the ball, and now nobody's worried, I suppose, about next week. They're thinking, right, Onana's had half a game now and he'll be all right for the Burnley game. So I thought it was a really clever move. That the Don one, I imagine that might be something to do with keeping an eye on him physically. So whether they've got him monitored and got the heart monitor, got the sensors on him, maybe it's something to do with that. I don't know. But again, again, it's I didn't really think the Beto sub worked, but at the same time, if we've won the game and if it's given Dom a 30 minutes rest, then that's ideal as well. And the Dobbin one, I almost felt like it was just to get someone on to help Patterson, and he worked hard, and then he got his goal. So all in all, it worked. And to be almost looking at the other side of the subs, normally we're criticising Dyche for not making subs, but I thought he made 3. In hindsight, they've worked out, all 3 of the subs. At the time, it was a bit like scratching your head, but they've worked out, and that's why he's the manager, isn't he? So.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just the way he's been doing and not doing subs all season, and then the ones he does on Saturday took us all by. It was a gasp. He was shocked. The timings of them, I had nothing against the substitutions. I just thought the timings of them were all wrong. Okay, Calvert-Lewin could have been carrying a niggle, but he's played through games before. He's not been taken off. Harrison's not been taken off. Young's not been taken off, but he's left them on the pitch when it was blatantly obvious they shouldn't be there. And yet this time, I wanted Dobbin on earlier. Okay, the Calvert-Lewin had left on another 10 minutes anyway, but I was pleasantly surprised bringing on Anna. Yeah, it's just the timings seem to be messed up. The fact he's making substitutions is a step forward. Absolutely,
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But it's just the timings of them I thought were rather weird.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. Nice one, Bri.
All right, that.
Cheers. See you later.
Well, take care now. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Brian.
Bye. Talking about young players, Mika Hamilton has put Manchester City ahead in their tie.
Really?
I've never heard of him before. He's 20-year-old. He's just smashed one in. I've just seen it. Guess what number he is?
87.
92.
Oh, it's 5 off.
92 his squad number is.
Because can it be like 5 each way?
No, it's not. I mean, it's not a guessing game. I asked him what his number was.
I don't know. Everton clip on the super chat.
Go on, mate. I was about to do that.
How are we? Not felt this connected in a while.
Fair play.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? When we win games.
Fair play. I feel like you're just doing an advert for your own YouTube channel there, but fair play to you.
That's fine.
That's fine.
We take money for that.
I have no issue with that whatsoever. That is Everton clip. Go and check them out. See if they're worth subscribing to. Happy days. They've just given us a super chat. No issue with
follow
that.
me on Instagram.
No issue with that at all. Ned Ved says Jack Harrison is just an average Premier League player. It's a joke of a statement.
No, it's not.
Laughing face.
He went down with Leeds in a team. He didn't play every game and clearly wasn't amazing, and then went to Everton on loan. What does that say about him?
Why do you hate all our players?
I like Harrison. I really like him. I hope he does.
I like him, but I think he's bang average.
But he is bang average, like most of our players, but they're working really hard.
No, I'm not.
Working really hard.
I'm not arguing. You know what? I'm not arguing with you. The proof will be at the end of the season. Like any player. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not.
They're just average footballers.
They're just men.
They're just normal men.
They're just normal men.
Normal men. Right, I want to go sort Rich out because Rich has been waiting patiently.
Okay. James says guy. Ned hates Everton. Pass it on.
James, don't be spreading false rumours about me.
Anthony Osmond says Harrison is a good hard worker, but understood Ned's opinion. Harrison not got a bundle of skills, tricks, flicks and running at a defender, but my opinion, works hard, but for 30 million look elsewhere. Yeah, that's if he is 30 million. What have we got now? Rich.
We've got Rich.
Hello, Rich.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Can hear you, Rich. Go on, mate.
Oh, nice one. Yeah. I think there's a difference between average and bang average. If you're bang average, that isn't good, is it?
Has Ned started something here?
He's bang average.
Ned started a beef.
Bang average.
Go on, Rich. Go on, lay into him, mate. Lay into him.
Well, bang average is one above crap.
No,
it's a nice way, isn't it? Though bang average is a nice way of saying someone's crap. That's the way I look at it.
What I mean when I say bang average is you're just average.
So why didn't you just say to just average then?
You could say he's a good average.
Yeah.
But if I say what time is it and you say 10 and it is 10 o'clock, you say it's bang on 10. No. It's exactly 10. So I'm saying that average. He's bang on average. He's bang average. That's just not like, if there's no like levels, average, bang average, bad. It's just bang you're average or you're not.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
You can't be kind of average.
Well, I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy if you're bang average, Ned. It's fine with me, mate. Yeah.
He is.
I'm a bang average guitarist. Well, I'm still pretty good at guitar.
There you go.
But there's levels, isn't there?
Yeah.
I thought you were the world's greatest guitarist.
No, I'm better than Ed Sheeran, though.
Everybody's better than Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, of course they are.
Yeah. I tried listening to Ed Sheeran, and I'd rather poke me out with a daffodil, to be honest. But anyway, you might have covered it. I missed the start of the show, so you might have covered this already. But the reports about potential administration, which I've only seen come in via the Daily Mail and GB News.
Yeah.
And have been kind of there's been some sort of rebuttal in the Echo, but that's all I've seen about it. It doesn't seem to have made a big splash. Is it real, or is it just a bang average story from the Daily Mail? It's
a bang average story from the Daily Mail. Well, so here's the story. The story is that 777 have effectively said that this is that they have made now their last payments essentially to Everton, because they expected the deal to be done by now. So I think the payments cover up to the end of January. So they've paid that. If it gets done, then they own the club and they continue. If it doesn't get done, they walk away, as you would expect. So what the Mail are saying is, well, it's not going to be done because it's December, whatever, the 13th or whatever it is. The Premier League will probably be having loads of Christmas parties and there'll be no one in the office, and then they'll come back in January. So it won't be done by January. By that time, if it doesn't get done, Mashiri's not going to put his hand in his pocket because basically that's what everyone thinks. And if the club can't pay the bills, then they're going into administration. If they go into administration, they'll get 9 points deduction. They get 9 points deduction, they'll get relegated. So essentially, it's just connecting all dots that are not necessarily in the right order. So, but how do you know that one thing will be? How do you know it'll be a domino effect? Mashiri, surely, if he owns Everton Football Club and continues Everton Football Club, will have to put money into Everton Football Club, because otherwise the club would go bust not in a short term, but in a longer term, if it doesn't get money put into it, and it has to. So, to me, there's like a small bit of truth in it, and the truth has just been expanded to a point where it's blows up like an overfilled balloon or something. There is, as always with anything Mathew writes, there's a shred of truth in it, and then that shred is just blown up. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that about Mashiri. He's, surely he will want to protect his investment so if it doesn't go through, if the 777 deal doesn't go through, he will need to protect his investment so that another buyer will come in and pay the full asking price for it. Because if we go into administration, the value of the whole club will plummet, and he will walk away with massive losses. Yeah, or maybe nothing at all. Exactly, and the club would be relegated, you'd imagine, if it had to took him 9 points, like any club would be who's in the bottom half of the table. Be relegated. The club would be worth nothing. He wouldn't be able to sell it to anyone. Whereas Everton Football Club, like we were talking about this earlier, Everton Football Club right now things are starting to look a little bit rosier, looking better on the pitch. Stadium, the stadium is like the inside bowl could be done in the next couple of weeks. All the terracing and all the upper seating could be done. The lower seating looks like it could be done by the time Easter rolls around. If you're on the outside looking in, I'd be thinking, God, if we could get this for absolute buttons and make money on it, no problem. So, a serious investment group out there, a hedge fund or whatever, could be looking, going, oh my God, look what you get for your money. And, if this does fall through and they know he wants out and they know he's desperate because he's having to put money into it, they'll be like, we can get this for buttons. Let's get in there. Let's get the stadium. And even if we flip it in 2 years' time, we're going to make a lot of money out of this football club. because it's a Premier League football club, and Premier League football clubs aren't going to go for sale all the time. There's and the market, the Premier League market is huge now, and it's outstripping all of the other European leagues. So I do think there's that. I think these stories are just built on sand. A lot of them.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that's right. And I mean, what it does kind of highlight again is how much work there is to do to improve Everton's commercial performance.
Yeah,
because I mean, it is pathetic. I mean, I can't remember how much it was in the last accounts that we generated through commercial activity. It's like £3 million or something.
It's garbage, mate.
I mean, you could go out and busk for more than that. It's just, so whoever comes in, whoever gets hold of this club has got to improve that. And it's like when I actually joined the show just before us, when you were saying, Ped, I think about, Spurs and their kind of store and everything that they've done to kind of build up their commercial activity. And, you look back at the last however many years, I mean, it's hard now to kind of give an objective view of Bill Kenwright, isn't it? But, I mean, I have to say, one of the things that frustrated me about Bill Kenwright was the really poor performance of Everton off the pitch.
Yeah, we were dinosaurs, absolute dinosaurs.
Yeah,
we went into the Premier League as one of the five that created it, and we just stood there thinking, yeah, this is what football will be for the next 20 years. While everyone else was like, no, mate, look what's happening in America, with merchandising and stadiums and corporate hospitality, and we just sat there. We didn't even build a 2-tiered parking, for God's sake. That's how bad we were, and that was basically paid for by somebody else, and we've continued to be 10 years behind everyone else. And now we are in a situation. I mean, people get a lot of praise at Everton for building the stadium, but the stadium should have been built 20 years ago. Let's get it right. Everton needed a stadium 20 years ago. Roberto Martinez told me 10 years, not dropping any names here because there was other people in the room, but Roberto Martinez told me 10 years ago that we needed a new stadium. If we wanted to,
I mean, that's been obvious for for 30 years.
But it was a case of, but I was asked to leave that out of an interview because they didn't want to, people at the club didn't want to make a big thing about it. And this is the manager of the football club telling me, and I was asked to leave it out of an interview, out of an edit, which I did because I was a guest, so I did. Yeah. But that's the way the football club has been. It's like, don't look at look at the charity. The charity's doing amazing. The club shop should have been. I've been told numerous times, I know people who work for Fanatics, the club shop should be huge, and Fanatics can't create stuff for it while it's got a tiny shop, and a tiny shop in town, really relative. Liverpool's next door, and that's much bigger. So the shop can't sell as much gear. And then as a football fan, maybe you get in habits of not even looking at Everton gear anymore because you're like, oh, what's the point? It's always rubbish or whatever. And now Everton in a situation where they've had to do a deal with obviously Stake, which aren't the greatest one in the world, but they're willing to put the money out there, which other people aren't. They've gone in with Kick, and Kick are a subsidiary of Stake, and I imagine when the ban on advertising gambling sites, that'll just swap. Kick will probably go to the main share, unless someone comes in and blows it away. And it looks like we're going to get a new kit deal with Castere, who we've all seen this year, well, if you've been following the story, their kits are literally falling to bits or are too wet. But they look like they've come in with the biggest deal and are going to, and if that means Hummel's being chased. And these people are, and that's where Everton are as a football club. Obviously, the people who pay the most, obviously, are going to get the deals, but it's not, we want more, you want better, but that's where we are at right now.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating, isn't it? To me, it's not rocket science, any of this. If you've got somebody that's good at the job, that can do this stuff, you'll fix it really quite quickly. And, it doesn't help anybody if you start providing and producing really poor quality stuff.
Yeah.
It affects the whole reputation of the club.
Yeah.
I think we can only hope that when a new board and new owners do come in, they will appoint people that can actually do these kind of jobs and really improve the position of Everton off the pitch as well as on the pitch. Because I mean, until we improve off the pitch properly, we're always going to be at best treading water. We're going to be relying on Kevin Thelwell to wheel and deal, and Sean Dyche to squeeze every last drop out of them and all the rest of it. So
yeah.
By the way, Kevin Thelwell, he's an impressive guy, isn't he? When he talks,
Yeah.
I've
And
been
again,
really impressed with him.
And you've noticed that cultural change at the club recently as well with that kind of thing as well. Him doing more interviews, obviously them releasing the podcast with Julia, that went down an absolute storm. Not sure, I'm sure there would have been conversations at the club about that as well. But that went down a storm. People like Evertonians like open, honest conversations about what's going on at their football club. And the minute you shut that door on Evertonians, the minute they start trying to knock down that door, and then that creates people. You've got to be. It's our football club. You've got to be open and honest about what's going on. And the more someone does that, Kevin Thelwell, I listened to an interview he did a couple of weeks ago, podcast he did, and the guy was like saying to him, things seem to be improving, and he was like, they're getting better, but let's not run before we walk. He was calming the situation down, but he was being honest. He was like saying, listen, we didn't spend any money. We aren't flush with cash. You tell a fan that, most of the time they'll go, sound, no problem. We've been talking about it earlier about any signings in January. We were like, no, they probably won't be. But at least we know that. At least we're not going to sit round being told by the owner, oh, there's definitely going to be a player, and then there isn't a player, and then the anger sparks from that. If you tell us as a fan base what the situation is, we'll go, sound. We'll work with what we've got. We're all dead honest people, dead, hard working, down to earth people, and we know why the club is in the state it is, and we know they're trying to get us out the state we're in by building a new stadium, which they're doing, and it's going to be magnificent, and it looks magnificent. But don't lie to us. Don't tell us that it's sunny when it's raining, because we've all got eyes, and we're all piss soaked through as well, by the way. So don't tell us lies, and we'll all be sound with that. But for too long, they've tried to hoodwink us, and it didn't. Nobody felt, or very few people. There was a few who have fallen for it, but most of us haven't.
I think that's because people didn't understand their own responsibilities, that people have said stuff that's contradicted what the actual people in power or job role that is are actually doing. We've got a clear idea of who's making the decisions and who's directing the football club, or at least the philosophy.
But there's very few people talking now, isn't there?
Well, that's it. Where we've had a board made up with different ideas and there's been so many power shifts. We had a director of football who was completely against the appointment of a manager we brought in with Rafa Benitez, and a chairman who was completely against that decision as well. Where now it seems like we have more of an idea of who's making the decisions and who's in charge, and there's no power struggles when making those decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mashiri has taken a back seat, hasn't he? Hopefully, and he won't get back into the driving seat again. Anyway, lads, thanks for that.
Nice one, Mitch.
Before we finish,
Go on, mate.
how many points do you reckon we're going to get between now and Boxing Day?
What is it? Burnley, Spurs.
Burnley and Spurs.
Man City.
Well, Man City's after Boxing Day, isn't it? 27th. For those 3 games, I'm going to say imagine 5 points. That would do me. 5 points. That is being optimistic, but 5 points would do me.
5 points would be nice, yeah. And into the semi-final of the League Cup.
Just throw that in as well. Why not?
Yeah.
Happy days.
Yeah. Up the Toffees, fellas.
Nice one, Mitch. See you later, mate.
See you.
Ta-ra, mate. There you go.
Ooh, it's hard, isn't it? When you're predicting. I always like to predict less, so I can be pleasantly surprised. So I'm going to say 4 points. Because I don't want to say 9. And
I'm not predicting. I'm just saying what I'd be happy with.
I'd be happy with 9. And
why wouldn't you be?
That'd be perfect.
I've got to go because this is.
I'm sure loads of people don't. I'm sure loads of people don't celebrate Christmas anyway. Right, we're going because I'm also going. I'm going to the pub right now, and like Christmas Day, I'll be in the pub as well, not buying presents. And the money I save on not buying presents will be spent on alcohol for me, because I like spending money on myself, because I like myself above all people. Because I should do. Goodbye.